I've had these shoes for a long time, about 7 years actually, and the very first time I ever wore them was when I led a worship service, the very beginning of my ministry career. And someone said to me after the service that how much they really liked my shoes, and I hadn't thought anything about it when I put them on, but this person said, "Man, I really like your shoes. I'm going to call them your happy shoes." So I ended up wearing them nearly every time I led worship for the last 7 years. So there's probably a few times where I didn't wear them, but most of the time I wore these shoes. They have seen better days. I had them on a couple weeks ago, and I noticed that they're starting to fall apart. There's a big hole here over on this side, and it was raining that weekend, and my feet got all wet. I was kind of sad, because they really have a special place in my heart. But I thought, maybe it's time to hang them up. Well, I could hang them on the wall in my studio, so they could just be a reminder of what I've been doing and God's work in my life. And I thought maybe I'll put them in a box and I could come up with some really clever saying or something like that could go along with it. But nonetheless, I decided a couple weeks ago that it was time to hang them up. So as I was thinking about putting away these awesome shoes, not because the shoes themselves are awesome, but because of what they mean, I started thinking about the similarities that these shoes have to my life and my walk with Christ. And I thought, well, maybe I could take these shoes to like a shoemaker. I don't even know if they have shoemakers anymore. I'm sure I could find a place where I could take these, and someone that really knew what they were doing could probably put these back together. Man, that's so much like my life. And I don't have the skills to be able to put these shoes back together as much as I would like to. And it's kind of that way in our lives, Things happen and people hurt us, and we experience tragedy, and there's all kinds of ups and downs, and we don't have all the tools to put our lives back together again. And that's what's so awesome about having Christ in our lives, is that He's the one that has all the tools, can start to put things back together for us. And then I thought, well, I'm going to hang these up, and I'll have them up on the wall or something like that I can always remember them, remember all the worship services that I've led, and be able to reflect on God working in my life and in the life of the church. And I started thinking about putting things away, and what other things in my life could I put away? Maybe things that aren't real positive. These shoes are positive, and they've had a positive impact, and the memories that go with them are positive. But what things in my life aren't so positive that maybe it's time for me to put away? Isn't it funny how we want to hold on to things? There's even shows out on television now all about people that have a hard time letting things go. And life's like that, we just, for some reason, don't want to let go of things. Whether it's our material possessions or things that have happened in our lives. Maybe somebody hurt our feelings and we just can't let that go. Or we just seem to want to hold on to everything. What's crazy is that God's promise is that as we turn those things over to Him, that His yoke is easy and His burden is light, and through that we'll have more peace in our life. So I wonder what things maybe you have in your life that it's time to let go of. Maybe somebody hurt your feelings and you've been holding on to that. Maybe you've been holding on to that for years. Maybe that situation has kept you from going deeper with God. Maybe that situation has kept you from plugging in your church and serving and being the hands and feet of Jesus. Maybe you have regrets. Maybe you have guilt. Even though you've accepted Christ and He's forgiven you of your sins, maybe you haven't forgiven yourself and you haven't been able to let go of your past. Maybe that's gotten in the way of you being able to really fulfill God's calling on your life. I know that there's been things in my life that have been hard for me to let go, but I have a testimony that when I have let go of things, that God always shows up and He never disappoints. So I just want to encourage you to maybe think about your own life and what are some things that maybe it's time to let go of so that you can fulfill the calling that God has on your life. And I'm going to hang these shoes up, and every time I look at them, I'm going to be able to remember how awesome it is to worship our King, how awesome it is to lead others to worship, not just on Sunday morning, but in every aspect of our life. And if we could just take that moment on Sunday morning, the power of the Spirit is so strong, and that moment when we're convicted, and if we could just take that moment and bottle it up so that we can pour a little bit out on Monday, a little bit more out on Tuesday as the week goes on. And that's really what it's all about. God bless you.